Welcome to the Owners Club podcast, the show where we open the doors to real conversation with real business owners. I'm your host, Sean Ziari.
Let's start with tell me about you. Tell me where Reagan parents, where were you born, where are you living?
Oh,
Just
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
just have
That's
a
going way
friendly
back.
conversation.
Sure. Well, I was actually born in South Florida, but I don't remember it. I was a toddler when we moved, but I was born in Broward County, and lived in Plantation, when I was first born. But I grew up in Mississippi, which is where my parents are from as well. And that's where I spent most of my life until I went off to college, and then pretty much haven't really been back for a significant amount of time since then. I did spend a couple of years there in my 20s, but it's, mostly just that initial part of growing up. My dad passed in 95. That's when I kind of went back home for a couple of years to help my mom. Then while I was there on that pit stop, I ended up being fortunate enough to get my MBA. So that was one thing that I did during that time. But as I was wrapping up the work on that, I realized, I was really ready to move somewhere else again, and yeah, really only been quote unquote home, during that limited period of time. For more than 20 years, I've been in Chicago. I was in the city for a period of time and have been in the suburbs for the last 13 or 14 years.
What part of Chicago?
When we were in the city, we were in different neighborhoods on the north side. First in uh, Roscoe Village area, kind of west of Wrigley Field,
Mhm.
Lakeview, kind of all around that area. It was all pretty close to that little area of the north side neighborhoods. And then when we moved to the suburbs, that was Arlington Heights, and that's where we've been for the last 14 years, I guess, at this point. And it's a great suburb. I mean, it was great when we moved here. It's gotten even better during that time. In fact, there's been a lot of back and forth about whether or not the Chicago Bears are going to end up here. They did end up buying the property and demolishing the property where the racetrack was. And there's still some up in the air about if they'll actually end up here. There was a lot of back and forth with this the village of Arlington Heights, with the school district, all of that. That I think the thing that had them kind of shy away from it was the taxation, which I completely understand. So we'll see where that ends up landing. But in any case, it's really great to see our town now thriving and doing so well. And I think it'll work out well for us when the time comes when we decide to sell our house here after our second daughter graduates from high school and figure out what's next.
Okay. Well, thanks for that introduction. So when you say we, who was the we in that household of yours? Let's get to
Sure.
know
My husband, Mark, and then I have two daughters. I have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. My 16-year-old is about to start her junior year of high school, and my 18-year-old actually turns 19 in a little over a week, is at Milwaukee School of Engineering studying mechanical engineering.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, I did look at your Facebook page and I saw two little girls on that
They're not so little
there. I
anymore.
thought, wow, she's got little ones. Yeah, I know.
And then, of course, the two dogs. That's important too. We
Of
always have
course.
dogs in our household, all
Right.
rescues.
Who are the
We have,
who are the furry babies' name? What are the furry babies' name?
sure, Rex is a boy. He's a mixed breed lab. And then we have little girl, which is kind of an ironic name. She's a Great Dane, but she came with the name, and we think she must have been the runt in her litter. She was actually pregnant when we adopted her, and she ended up having 15 puppies in our house in Chicago in January. It's been a year and a half, almost, yeah, a little over at this point. So that was quite an experience.
I bet. Probably the other thing I want to talk about is what, how did you get to this point? And what is your biggest need right now?
Mhm. It's interesting because for me, I kind of consider myself an accidental investor. When I first got into investing, there have been a couple of times prior to that, my husband and I had looked at some rental properties and ended up not moving forward. mainly because, what happens to everyone when you're looking at a property, you have an inspection and then the inspection scares you to death. And so
Mhm.
there were a couple of properties that would have been really great, honestly. But, in this case, like these were in the city of Chicago and they were older buildings. In one case, one was like a 8 or a 10 unit building. And there were some things that came up in the inspection between the flat roof, tuck pointing, and things that just seemed like, ooh, maybe this is more than we're prepared for. And so we ended up not moving forward on a couple of different things. So we kind of wanted to invest, but didn't. And then in 2014, we built a property that at the time was just intended to be a lake house for my family. And that kind of just is where things gradually got started because we knew we would only be there, here and there, and decided to rent it out when we weren't using it so it would pay for itself. And that worked out well for a time. But, at that time I was still working full time and did for 10 years after that. But recognized that we were a little too beholden to the property manager who kept telling us, how many favors he was doing us, but it sure didn't seem that way to us. And but at the same time, I didn't feel prepared to really handle it while working full time with little kids and all of that. So we just kept doing that for quite some time. And then there was, as things started to heat up at the beginning of COVID with the real estate market, at least in our area, our property manager was also a listing agent, of course. And, they said, hey, if you've ever thought about selling, now's a good time. And we're like, no, we're not interested in selling. After the second time, same thing. Finally, the third time he came back to us, we're like, okay, fine, see what's what. And so he suggested a price. He listed at that, and we're like, okay, let's see what happens. And 24 hours, we had our first offer and ended up moving forward. So then we found ourselves in what we thought was a really great position until we started thinking about the tax consequences of that. And so we quickly learned about 1031 exchanges and ended up splitting that property into two different properties, which we still hold now, because once you go into a 1031 exchange, it becomes a little more challenging to get out of those properties that you go into, because then you'll end up paying those taxes on the back end. So we still have both of those properties. One of which, actually, it's funny. One is the only short-term rental that I still have, and the other is the only long-term rental that I still have. So,
And
so
you are in a midterm rental.
yes.
So tell me how you got introduced to the Sub 2 and Owners Club and midterm rental. So
Oh,
the
wow. Yeah,
microphone is
it's
yours, madam. You're still on the stage speaking to the rest of the Owners Club.
Well, starting with midterm rentals, that kind of came before all the rest of it for me. And the interesting thing is, when I was first in what I'm going to call the space, midterm rentals wasn't a term at that time. So earlier I was talking about in the mid to late 90s, I moved back to Mississippi to be close to my family. After my dad passed. And during that time, I actually had my first introduction and spent about 2 years in the temporary corporate housing space. And that was while I was working on my master's, because I had been in hospitality at that point, but it was almost impossible to have a consistent schedule to work on my master's while being in hospitality. So during that time, I made kind of a little bit of a right turn into that space, which was really kind of something that was new at that time. And in any case, I got to spend that period of time working in, at that time, what was called temporary housing, corporate housing. I still know it as corporate housing today. But we were really busy with all the Y2K consultants at that time. That was one of the things that had us very busy with, furnished rentals month to month, intended for transition for temporary type purposes. So consultants, relocating executives, folks like that were the types of people that would keep us full. We had some movie crews as well. There were some interesting movies that were filmed in the area. So that's when I first got into that space. Of course, I was not an investor and owner at that point, but it was just a job that I had for a couple of years. And then I went back to hospitality. Never really thought that much about it again until 2022 is when I really started doing midterm rentals again. I, of course, started off with one property as an arbitrage property. And had come across, I guess it came across my feed somehow or another. You know how it is once you start being an investor and you start,
Mhm.
reading and inquiring about things, Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, they all give you more of what you want. And so I ended up getting back into midterm rentals at that point, and really it took on a life of its own. Within a matter of months, I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 midterm rentals. And it just, I found very clearly that number one, we were in a good location for that I had some very well positioned properties. And, for me, at that time, I was like, having run short term rentals for a while at that point, like this is so much easier and equally as profitable in most cases. And
Mhm.
so I thought, at that time, why do anything else? And so that's how I got into midterm rental. It was after that I got involved and exposed to the community. I first joined Top Tier actually.
Mhm.
And so that was my first exposure to the community. Then I don't know, it's only a month and a half before I joined Gator. And when things really took on a life of their own for me is when I came to Squad Up in 2020, 4, I guess that was. My years are getting mixed up. But the first
Orlando.
year brought up, and I'm like, I was still new to the community, only a couple of months in at that point. And boy, that was amazing. I mean, talk about lightning in a bottle. It was just outstanding. And so, being new to the community and thinking like, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to see what this is all about. And, it was really, I don't know how anyone could have been in that room and not been completely invigorated by what was taking place. And then, of course, as Owners Club was being rolled out, which I didn't have any knowledge that that was coming, it just seemed like such a no-brainer to me. And even then, had no idea, what we would be in for. And, this is something we were talking about a few minutes ago that, today I find myself over and over saying, I cannot believe on a daily basis, every week I'm just dealing with Owners Club members. And
Mhm.
in different ways and different partnerships for different specific projects and things that we're working on. But what I've come to realize, and it's really kind of happened over the course of the last year, if you think about like the Scottsdale retreat being kind of the beginning of us all being in the same room together and getting
Mhm.
exposed to so much knowledge and just ways to really think bigger and do bigger things. And I realized like that's kind of what has organically happened over that last year is that, as we do things like this, we talk together, we have Zooms, we learn about what one another is doing and has expertise in. And then start talking to people to get them to weigh in on things, and you end up, just doing things together. I mean, it's really amazing. And I'm so thankful that it's such a kind of a siloed ecosystem where literally you could do nothing with anyone except for Owners Club for the rest of your investing life and you would be all set. And honestly, it kind of goes back to some of the things we were just talking about in Monterey, and that is, everyone that you're with at Owners Club is not normal. We've all been trained to think in the same way. And if I were to be, talking to someone else, whether, in sub two or anywhere else, that hadn't had this mindset training and all these things that we're doing and just wanting to think in a bigger way, then you wouldn't be able to do those sorts of things with them. So I can have conversations with Owners Club members about things that others would think I was nuts. But with an Owners Club
Mhm.
member, in a matter of 5 minutes, it's like let's lock that down. Let's get it under contract. Let's do this, and this, and here are the next 5 steps after that. And so it's really cool to have a group of people that are trusted that have all that same thought process and don't have those barriers that a lot of people see being there aren't really there because they're just not thinking big enough. So I really have found Owners Club community to be just such a core for me today.
It is very difficult to explain to someone what the owners club is when
Mhm.
not in the room, because it just, it appears as if it's a mentorship or, something else you pay for, but you really have to be in the room, in those breakout rooms like you talked about.
Mhm.
In the owners club community, who's your closest friend? I have so many close friends in the community. Tell me a name of two people that you've done the most work with, or have talked the most, or
Oh, wow.
Or maybe who would you call if you got arrested and you need to be bailed out and Mark is not available?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. The interesting thing is I've worked with so many different owners club members that it's hard to name, one or two. But now when you come to who I would call if I was arrested, that's a really good one. And I have a couple of different thoughts on that.
Yeah. Somebody asked me that question one day. It's like, well, who would you call if you got arrested? Guys talking, drinking. And my thought was, well, that all depends on what I'm getting arrested for.
Yeah,
How
that
bad
is
of a lawyer
awesome.
do I need, So it's one of those weird. So tell me just one or two people in Owners Club that you've done work with or you talk the most with.
Sure. Well, I just got off the Zoom, I should say, a few minutes ago, with Gabriella DeCou and Susie Dye. So we've been working together on some things, along with James Parche, who's also in Owners Club. We've been looking at some things together in the Detroit market. But while we were in Monterey, Susie and I started talking about some opportunities in Nashville. And Susie and Gabriella partner on all things that they do. And so it's funny because Susie and I just had this one little side conversation that turned into let's talk about Nashville. And so the three of us got on a Zoom this morning. And, at first we had one or two little things that we're looking at. And I don't yet know what that's going to turn into in Nashville and around Nashville, I should say.
Sure.
So, that's how those things go. It takes a little bit of time to kind of vet the overall situation. And in this case, we've got kind of the things that started the conversation, but then a couple of other things around it. So definitely between what we've been looking at together in Detroit and now this new conversation about Nashville, I've definitely been working very closely with them. And I think we've all had the opportunity to look at deals, that we had not looked at in the past. A lot of it, not what we're looking at right now, but some of what we looked at in Detroit, being larger multifamily. And, we've ended up not moving forward on the original portfolio that we were looking at, but we've started pulling in other things. And we haven't had one that's worked out yet. We all know that 90% of deals end up not working for one reason or another. And so we haven't made it to that 10% yet that will get across the finish line in the Detroit market, but I'm sure that that will come. We've already got our eyes on some other things. So that has been really amazing. I've also been working very closely with Benjamin Huang on a couple of different things. So we do have one vertically integrated business that works well with his laundromats that we're in the process of formulating. So not quite ready for prime time yet, but you'll be hearing about it soon enough. And we'll be putting out some feelers for who's interested in maybe being on our waiting list to help us get that launched. But in addition to that, we have a couple of properties that we're working on together. Um, Partly just started off with one or a couple of properties that he needed some help with. And so we ended up coming up with, or actually, Benjamin kind of created this business structure that would allow me to help him manage that. Because one of the things that we talked about is I'm not licensed, I'm not a property manager. And
Mhm.
a lot of people, they hear about midterm rentals and they kind of want my help with their midterm rental. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. Now, there is something called co-hosting, which is fairly limited. It's not really what I do. So Benjamin came up with the concept of, me having a small piece of equity in his existing properties. And then we have kind of an operating agreement that allows me to have a small slice of equity, but then also JV and get a percentage of the net on the property. So that way I'm able to do what I need to do to effectively operate the property and, meet all of the requirements to be able to do that. So it started with one property in Delaware. There are a couple others that may end up being involved in that, but right now it's just the one. But we're actually currently under contract on one property in Texas and have our eyes on some others. I think that what we're looking at in Texas may end up being one of the more significant things that we're doing together. So we've already got, I'm not sure, maybe three or four LLCs together, and have more coming down the pike. So I've, just had so many different things that I've been involved with different owners club members.
Mhm.
And I'm just finding myself, working on different things on a daily basis. I heard from EO and Terry Savage last night that they've got something under contract and want some help looking at. And I was really excited to see that for a variety of reasons. I'm not looking to partner with them on that, but just to kind of help advise. Because KC Savage, Terry's husband, had been kind enough to help me underwrite an RV park opportunity that I was interested in not long ago. So it's really nice to be able to return the favor when, someone has come in and had no vested interest and just shared their knowledge and expertise, and so it's really great to be asked to help out in that way. And I'm excited to learn more about their project.
Yeah, I think one of the things I enjoy about our business is the
Mhm.
opportunity to work with others, to JV and get to know them. Yes, it's fun, looking at the deal,
Well,
but it's the
that's true.
people, it's always the people that just like makes things just so much better.
Well, it's interesting you say that because as I was like the ones that I did not mention yet, like I'm working with Luz and actually renting a property from her right now that I'm using essentially as an arbitrage for midterm rental. She came to my midterm rental workshop and is interested in trying it out, but wasn't quite ready to take the leap. So I'm like, hey, let me set this property up as a midterm rental. I'll rent it from you short term after a couple months. If you want to take it over, then you can do that. And so there's a few different things that may happen with that. She's still kind of thinking about it, how she wants to proceed. So we'll see what happens with that. But there is some value add that can happen with that particular property. So she had the benefit of being able to see, like, okay, this is what it would look like. And, that kind of how that property would work. And again, there's the opportunity to add more bedrooms in the existing space to really maximize that. So I think that, she'll be making some decisions about that soon. And then another one that's really huge and that we're still kind of working through right now, and that's with Bertie and her husband David. So David's brothers are commercial brokers in northern Indiana, which is pretty close to where I am. And Bertie was here and spoke at my midterm rental workshop. And in the process of doing that, that was back in January, we discussed her brother-in-laws being brokers there. And over time, as I had an opportunity present itself in northern Indiana, I, reached out to David, and Bertie was like, okay, I want to talk to your brothers and let's, look at this opportunity. And this is pretty big. So let's see if this is something we can all approach together. And we did actually offer his brothers the opportunity to be partners on it, which they decided not to because, as large commercial brokers, they've got a lot of irons in the fire, but
Mhm.
they're really helpful to us in this whole process. So we do have a 20-acre piece of land that we're more or less under LOI and looking at, having all the conversations that we need to have regarding zoning in that area. And then we're looking at exactly what the construction there is going to look like, which we're kind of down the path on that, but not quite ready to share that. But there is an owners club tie in there too. And then in addition to that, there's a building that's close to that same area that we're looking at because we're seeing a tremendous opportunity in that area due to some multiple different data centers that are being constructed, billions of dollars of construction and development that will have a long-term impact of 10 plus years. And there's actually a housing shortage that's being created as a result of that. So we're trying to find the right ways to get in there and take advantage of those relationships with David's brothers being brokers and being able to help us with those things. And then kind of layering in the midterm rental and other things. I think it's going to be pretty awesome when it's all said and done.
Girl, you have I, let's start that. I shouldn't call you girl. We're friends. I can say girl, but I shouldn't say that on a podcast.
It's okay.
All right, let's start that again. Reagan, you have your fingers in a lot of different projects. What would you say July 2025 is the most exciting thing that you're looking forward to in the next 12 months? And a follow-up to that is what is your biggest need for this exciting project?
Well, I think we're on the right path with what we need for the project in Northern Indiana. We're just kind of, that whole ground up development thing is not something that happens fast. There's a lot of things that have to line up. So I think we're on the right path with that. So I feel like there's nothing really specific that we need there right now, even down to the financing. And that's a big part of what David brought to the table. And that's the beauty of partnerships, so that we each bring different things. I brought the initial opportunity and knowing there was the need in this area, then his brothers have been wonderful supporting us as commercial brokers. And so that has all worked out really well. Another one, I apologize that I did not mention yet because it's all kind of underway as well, but Sheeny
Take
Telsher.
your time. We're going to add as many as you want. So you
You don't
got
want to leave
no,
anybody out,
no. We
but
got 30 minutes, so we're gonna just casually tell me everything you're working on. I do want to ask about Texas because I am from Texas.
oh, okay,
Tell me about that project. So floor is yours.
sure. Well, and this just kind of came out of nowhere. I guess it was like the week before Monterey. And Benjamin and I have been talking a lot because we've got two or three different things we're working on together. And he just brought this one opportunity. I think I had mentioned in passing at some point that Texas, in the Dallas area specifically, was one that I was keenly interested in for midterm rentals. And so he had a specific property that had come across his radar and, wanted to know what I thought about it. And I'm like, it's a beautiful property. Let's do it. And so he structured the deal. He got, it's a sub two, but he got PML so that we have zero of our own money in it at the outset. And I think we'll probably be closing mid-July on that. But then in the process of looking at that, we started talking about what else we want to do in that market. And so he's really looking closely at some multifamily through some of his existing connections, and including one 80-unit multifamily that he's part owner and through a syndication right now.
Mhm.
Not to say that's ever going to happen, but it might happen just based on some, knowledge with his involvement through that syndication. And then we're starting to better build out our buy box of what else we would like to expand to. So I think that that will work really well with him kind of being the acquisition and financing side of things, me
Mhm.
being the operations and midterm rental side of things. And then, we'll both kind of be doing our parts to build out that portfolio.
Mhm.
So we've really kind of started to put together a business structure that will support some significant growth on that.
Do you have your buy box in a PDF form?
Uh, I have my existing buy box, but what we're building out for that, we don't have it yet. We kind of have been talking over the course of
Yeah.
leading up to Monterey and in Monterey, and then Benjamin just got to Taiwan. He's going to be there for the next 6 weeks. So we don't have it on paper yet.
No worries. As soon as you have it, just email me so we can post it to this um, uh,
Thank you.
podcast.
That's amazing. I'll
Yeah.
definitely.
This podcast is all about the Owners Club, all 371 of us. And my goal was to get to know every one of you, every one of us, I should
What
say.
a great way to do it.
Yeah, I just get to do it and just have you talk, and I just sit here, drink my coffee, and listen to you, and inspired by all the other 370 people. It's an amazing group.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're not in Sub 2 and you're not in Owners Club, why not? What's wrong with you? It's a great organization. I feel so blessed to have found this group and
Same.
people like you and others in the community. By the way, if you are enjoying yourself, you should text Birdie. Wait, who did you mention? Birdie, Ben, Gabriella, and Susie.
And James and
And James.
Sheeny, I was starting to talk about. And then there are others that I'm like in the process of trying to work with, but we're not quite there yet.
All right.
So, you
I'm
know,
gonna stay here. I'm gonna watch you text them right now and say, hey, Sean, sign up for the Owners Club podcast with Sean. Go ahead, do it right now.
oh gosh. Okay. I'm not
Yeah,
good at
I'm putting you on the
multitasking.
spot. Let's go.
All right. Give me the link. So I'll put that in the text. I am really bad at multitasking,
Just
but yeah, if you'll
just
put your, what is it, like your Calendly link, I think.
just say check your inbox. Sean has emailed you
Oh,
three or
okay.
four times. He wants to get to know you and he wants to put you on stage for the other owners. So
All right.
he
Well
might have
done.
already signed up with me, but I don't know. But I wanted everyone to sign up. By the way, Ben is amazing. I enjoyed my time with him on the golf course at Pebble Beach. It was
Oh yeah. Oh, you got
poor
to do
guy.
that, huh?
Yeah, poor guy. It was like his first time trying golf, and he tries it at Pebble Beach of all places,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm typing while we're talking here to send this text out.
take your time, some quiet time, reflect, market, mingle. It's like you did say it was in Dallas.
Okay. I'm just going to copy and paste that. Yeah, I've got a lot of people to send it to because that's the whole thing. I definitely mean, like, I've got the ones that we already have LLCs in place, and then others that things are underway.
Yeah, I
I'm
really
gonna do
want to find
Sheeny
out what,
next.
yeah, I really want to know what all 371 of us are doing or more, whatever it is. I think it's more than that. I don't know why. But just to, I think it's over 500, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, I have so much work to do.
Susie liked that already. I just sent
I
it.
know it's like, oh, I got so many
It's
people I need to,
instantaneous.
yeah. But I'm excited to get to know everyone and,
I
uh,
gotta put WhatsApp on here because with Benjamin traveling right now, he's not texting, he's WhatsApping. And let's see here. There we
that's fine.
go.
Are you reading a book right now that you would want others in Owners Club know about or recommend?
Not right now because I'm really focused a lot on like, other types of content, more, Zoom training.
Mhm.
Like I can't even keep up with all like Zooms within the community, Zooms that just like this right now, watching other people's podcasts and whatnot. So I'm not reading much, but I will talk about this book. But that was better part of a year ago. Okay, so I got Sheeny, I got them, I got Benjamin, Julie is in Trinidad right now. She was one of my roommates. So Julie Colette and Heather Grizzard were my roommates in Monterey, and so I'm going to reach out to them too. But
So
Julie left, had to leave early.
Monterey to Trinidad. Well, that
I
does
know,
suck.
right?
Yeah, what a life.
I know, exactly. It was a family trip that she already had planned. Okay, who else am I missing?
Where was the your favorite vacation that you went with Mark and the girls?
Ooh, sorry, I'm just it's so funny because we've done some trips that we haven't all been together. Like my older daughter Sky and I went to Italy last summer. It was amazing, but it was just the two of us, all
Nice.
four of us together. Um, Probably Mexico. We've gone, to a couple of all inclusives and like gone between Christmas and New Year's and that sort of thing, and
Nice.
tried out different places, and they just love that whole all inclusive, just be on the beach all day, but also just the amazing activities like let me think. There was one in particular called Bahia Principe that their activities team does such a remarkable job. And they had like just had, teenagers can be a little weird, right? And but they somehow would get everybody involved and just
Mhm.
having fun and doing all this stuff. So I would say that's probably our most fun big trip. Although, we're really looking forward to doing something bigger, like in Europe, perhaps. Sky's going to be spending her junior year of college in Germany, so I know the rest of us will go visit her there while she's there and probably do a bigger trip all together. But last year, Thanksgiving, yeah,
Good job,
we just
Scott.
pardon.
Did a good job, your daughter. Nice.
Yeah,
Germany.
she's been working really hard, and so a lot of rewards coming from that. But last year, Thanksgiving, we just went to Lake Geneva, that's like an hour from us, and it was actually a really fun trip. And it's cool, once your kids get to be older and can kind of appreciate things in a different way. And we had, just the most amazing Thanksgiving meal that we did not cook. And we went to a yacht club that was where we were staying,
Mhm.
and that was really amazing. And just had a good little trip there. To transition, you had asked me about a book. So this is
Yes,
the one
please.
that Pace told us about last year during the Scottsdale retreat. And I got it after we got back, and it really actually led very much into Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's a lot of the same concept about talking about how if you're your own operator, basically, that you're getting in your own way, which again is the same thing with Buy Back Your Time and how Dan, I think the thing that he was intentionally making abrasive was if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And that's a lot of what it talks about in this book as well. And it's been a little while since I read it now, so I'm trying to remember that they used a different word besides operator. Technician, I think, was the word they used, where, essentially that technician is the person that does all the very tactical stuff
Mhm.
related to, whatever the business is. And so, which is an operator, essentially using the nomenclature that we use in Owners Club. And it's all the same concept that you've got to, if you're going to really truly become an owner and be more strategic in what you're doing, that you've got to, rip the band-aid off and get a good solid team to do the day-to-day stuff so that you're working, strategically on your business, but not beholden to your business, all hours of the day and night. And I go through different phases of it myself, where sometimes I have a little too much hands-on. So it needs a lot of repetition to really break out of that. But I think that I'm so thankful that Pace has put together all of these building blocks for us and even the calendar series to help us,
Ever.
put ourselves on a path to free ourselves from our businesses.
From you said Scottsdale was like day zero, which I agree. When we showed up, I had no idea what Owners Club
Mm-mm.
was. Nobody did. From Scottsdale to Monterey, what would you say is has been your biggest growth as a business owner, as a investor? What has this community done for you, and how is Reagan different in Scottsdale than she is in Monterey?
I'm going to say two instead of one. And I can do that because I'm an owner. I can say, you know what? I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to give you two, and that's okay.
Many as you want. We got time.
So one is the calendar series and really better protecting my time. And I think through that, I've now consolidated down to doing office hours so that I can serve the community, help people, answer questions, and give my expertise in that one limited period of time instead of having too many one-on-ones that are kind of tying up my calendar and keeping me from being productive in my active, day-to-day work that I do. And I really want to continue to do that because I'll actually be teaching a semester coming up. And so I know that there can be a lot of questions and, needs that people within the community have. So I think just really being somewhat unapologetic about, this is when I'm available. I'm not doing one-on-ones. I have these office hours, and I make myself available then. And otherwise, I've got to keep myself where I need to be to keep making the progress that I need to make. So I think that, whole series and thought process and training to be able to really shrewdly manage my calendar and my availability, that would be number one. And then number two is just the overall thinking. And again, just having worked again and again and again and again with different Owners Club members on different projects of all different shapes and sizes. And being freed to think about things at a different level that I would have never ever thought about doing on my own. But by doing all of this together and, spending time with others and underwriting things and digging into the numbers and understanding stuff, I mean, there's a lot of things I shut down right away now that I would have tried to make work in the past. But, now I'm like, oh, I see that, there are these things that let's just move on to something else because, we've all spotted and even experienced those projects that sound really good and you end up investing a lot of time and money. And that's another thing
Mhm.
that and before Owners Club, I came to recognize I'm not just investing money, I'm investing time. And I have much more finite amount of time than I do money because we all know through capital raising, through all these other things we can do, there's plenty of money that's out there if you've got a good project. But I've got a very finite amount of time. And if I, find too much time being sucked by a project that, so many times we can find ourselves trying too hard to make something work that's not really meant to work, then I've gotten a lot better at just moving on to the next thing.
Okay. Uh, I do have a follow-up on that. I think it was actually, I think it was, all right, let's start it again. I think it was during the calendar series where Pace mentioned that you're not busy, you're just not efficient with your time. And it
Hmm.
sounds like that's what you're doing with what you've been trying to do, which is fantastic. Would you like to share your office hour time with the other owners
Oh, sure.
and talk
Yes,
about
it's
stuff?
Wednesdays from noon to 1 Central Time.
Okay.
And, most of the time it happens. I'm going to say we're probably around 65%. And people get upset when I end up, canceling, which I'm going to do for this Wednesday because I've got an inspection. I feel bad because I didn't have it last week because of Monterey. And then I was planning to have it this week coming up, but I'm having an inspection for this property and it's a short week with 4th of July. And it's like, that's the only time that worked. So, we'll have to just get back to it next week. But that's my standing time is Wednesdays from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. And as of now, if people will just message me and then I'll put them on the calendar invite, I will probably be transitioning how that's done, like through a Zoom registration or something in the future. But people can reach out to me on Instagram at just at Reagan Sonnabend is my handle. So just reach out to me there. Let me know that you're interested in joining. I'll just get your email and put you on that invite.
We'll probably post your phone number and contacts and social media handle.
Well, I'm trying to do things mostly through Instagram because I found I don't want everyone having my phone number and I don't want everyone having, I
Very
think
good
I
point.
did, I'm
Yeah,
doing
five
things
years from
in
now,
forms.
somebody might see this video and have, you don't want their phone number. So yeah, we can just post your
I've
Instagram.
been putting things through Go High Level forms for that reason because believe me, people text me at all hours and it's like I got to protect that. So that's why I'm trying to kind of route people in different ways to protect my sanity.
Yes, and your balance, life balance.
Hmm.
What would you say to a new owners club member uh, from 2025? Well, how does Reagan do life work balance? How does that look for you? What would you recommend for them?
I would say try, and this is a lot easier said than done, but try not to get shiny object syndrome. And I mean, Pace talked about that in Monterey, and I feel like it gets talked about a lot. But what I'm finding myself doing more now is when I'm really intrigued with what someone else is doing, instead of trying to get FOMO and dive into that, because you got to stay focused, otherwise you're all over the place. I just invest in other people's deals. And so people are putting all kinds of deals on fractional now. I'm already invested in three or four, and I've got another couple that, I'll be investing in soon. And that's what I do. I really love having that opportunity to get involved and not have to be active in those things, but yet be along for the ride and hear what's going on. And, depending on how it goes, maybe I'll invest in another one, when those same people have their next project coming up. And I've started to refine my thinking of that's how I plan to let people get more involved with me in the future going forward as well. Is when I go to buy a new building with the intent of making it workforce housing or a midterm rental, I will put it on the fractional platform
Mhm.
so that others can get involved. Because, one of the things I find in educating others about midterm rentals, there's a lot of answering very tactical questions. Some of the things I get most often are, is this going to be a midterm rental or what should I charge for this as a midterm rental? And, there's a million different questions. That many different people could come on office hours and have all of those same questions, but
Mhm.
it's not super scalable for me to be able to be really hands-on in those things outside of, like really turning that into a mentorship or something, which is not what I'm looking to do. But what I can do is have workshops a couple of times a year, educate people through the semesters program that's coming up.
Sure.
And when people want to kind of see everything up close and personal, the full evaluation, all of the due diligence, all of the comping, all of the underwriting, just like you would do for anything else, I'll make that available to people through investing in, projects that I have coming up with the intent of making them midterm rentals in the future.
Fantastic. Do you have a workshop planned that you want to share with the other owners in
I
your?
don't have my next one scheduled yet right now because we've got semesters coming up. And so I've got to kind of get that all sorted out. So if I were, gosh, as I think about it, I think semesters is going to end up being like August, September, maybe October, which means November, December, maybe. But that's what I keep finding is that I can't find the right time to plug it in. And in fact, when I did the one in January, I knew at the time it was going to be not just imperfect action, but really, really imperfect action because I just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off and get the first one under my belt, even though I knew January is not a good time. Also meaning, promoting something in November and December is not a good time. But I just wanted to kind of get it done, have the experience. I learned a lot. And I also realized that I did it too soon. Like before you can really do that, you need to have a much better built out audience, funnels, email lists, all of that. I didn't have that. And so, I probably should have waited, but, I definitely learned a lot from that experience.
That's really um, important that you said that about the workshop. How many followers or how many people would have to be in your funnel that you think would be a good number for others in Owners Club to say, okay, now I can do uh, a workshop?
I haven't got it that refined yet, but I would say hundreds, definitely, if not over 1,000. When you start thinking about the numbers of course, like who's available, what else they have going on. Are they like serious enough about it to commit a 2 day, you know, of course, workshop, but then the travel around it and all of those things. So I would say definitely over 1,000. And I had nowhere near that. And I didn't even have any of those things built out. So it was very much a leap of faith of like, hey, I'm going to have a workshop. We'll see what happens. And, I definitely realize how I was completely unprepared and I thought at the time I'm like, well, I can't post it in the subtube community because those things are considered promotional. So I'm like, the only people that are going to see my posts are people that already know me, and that's pretty much what happened. But even since then, like there were a lot of people that are now not a lot. I mean, a couple dozen people that are on my email list that came to my roundtable at Squat Up. But as you start to build all of those things out
Mhm.
over time, and I'm still not really doing it, I've got to get better funnels in place. And just like we were talking about in Monterey, about, the whole funnel going into the introduction and the nurturing and the invite and all of those things, that's probably my next thing I need to work on, especially with semesters coming up, because that will be a huge opportunity for people to follow me personally. But the key is you've got to get them off of social and into an email list and a funnel and a series and all of that. And I had none of that. And so that would be what I would tell anyone. And I don't know how others are doing this, to be honest, but that, before you get ready to do a workshop, give yourself at least 3 months of starting to build all of that up so that you have an audience that is interested and that is seeing you and that wants to know more.
Well, kudos for you for just jumping in and trying it. That
That's the way I
reminds
do
me
things.
of,
I guess, we all have our inclinations, and I tend to jump into the deep end and figure out how to swim, and that's what happened.
love it. It reminds me of what Pace mentioned about Chappelle. Just go practice in a dark room. No one's seeing it. Just keep practicing. And when you
Yeah.
do have your 1,000, you're going to knock it out because you just have that personality. Everybody wants to, sit down and listen to you and talk to you. So
Oh,
me, but just keep doing the workshop. I hear great things from people that know you. Got a couple of questions. You ready?
okay.
All right. In the Owners Club community, who's the one person you don't know and you looked at them and go, I want to do business with them? Who is that one person?
That I don't know.
Yeah, like a new owners club. Maybe you saw them in
Oh
Monterey,
gosh.
saw their
I
Facebook.
cannot think of one specific person that I want to tell you. Because it's a little overwhelming, because you meet people like 111. So
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
going to pass on that question because I don't have a good answer.
This plod, I'm not getting paid for this, but this plod
Hold
was
on one quick
so,
second. Oh, that's a good.
I loved my plod. taking
I
notes.
just had to close the doors because my dog started barking, and I am going to have a hard stop at the top of the hour. I think we were scheduled that way anyway. That's
Sure.
brilliant. I remember seeing you have that, and I saw a couple of others that had something similar. I might need to incorporate that into what I'm doing soon. I can see how helpful
Sure.
that would be.
Just on a follow-up emails or text, you can tell me that, and we'll just put it in the information. By the way, I think I need to say, hey, Owners Club, please, if you're enjoying this, follow us, give us a thumbs up so you'll get notified when a new owner has done a Owners Club podcast, and give us a thumbs up. I think that's what I'm supposed to say. I'll refine it in the next couple of hundred times I record. So I'm doing the Chappelle in the dark. Um, awesome. All right. I told you I had 1,000 questions from ChatGPT.
Mm,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You remember the movie? Sure, you know the movie. Alf. The guy gets on the conference room and goes, "I have right here things that will blow your mind." All right.
All right.
A reference. All right. We'll cut that out. Give me a number from 1 to 1,000. Pick a number.
Oh,
We got 4 minutes. Make it quick,
708.
girl. What?
Or no, 706.
706. Why 706?
Because it's my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, I asked Rich and Chloe to put another column and let's put everybody's date of birth minus
Ah,
year on that so we can know when each other's birthday is. You know,
good idea.
so everybody will know March 9th is my birthday. I'm a Pisces. All right, 706. I could put my glasses on, but then Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you wish you received when starting in business?
Whew.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Okay.
You're probably old enough to know what that means. Inquiring minds want to know. Most
I
people, like
am.
people are like, if I ask my daughters, they're like, what does that mean? Inquiring.
No.
Go ahead.
I would definitely say, and we all hear this a lot, I think, in Owners Club and other places, but that, think about the who, not how, that really, focus on the people that you're getting to know. And there are so many people out there that have great expertise that are so willing to share it. And, I can think about, one of the jobs that I landed early in my career that was kind of a good career break for me. And I can remember after they hired me, they told me, like, you had not done a lot of the things that we had on our list that we, had for experience that we wanted, but that culture piece, and like we could just tell that you were, someone that was willing to learn and that you fit well with the group and the culture piece, and
Mhm.
and that, we can train people how to do the technical things that need to be done as part of this job, but just the attitude and the mindset was what stood out. And so I don't know why I remember that so much now, all these years later. And it was a really great job. And my boss was amazing. I didn't have kids yet. And I can remember at the time, she was a mother of three and she was sharing all this knowledge with me. And I think back on it a lot now. But in any case, I really do think that who, not how is something to really focus on. If you're new in your career and you're like starting to move forward and things can seem intimidating and overwhelming and all of that. But if you, kind of find your core people, your mentor, multiple mentors and people that are trustworthy and have good insight and willing to help you along the way and that have the expertise to figure things out. Because again, it really isn't like what we need to do. It's like who's the right team to be working with to get it done.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Uh, is there a question you would like to ask the next OC who's doing this podcast? Or do you want to just pick a number? Because I always want
Pick a
the next,
number. Yeah, I'm like I know I should have thought about
after
that
an
in advance.
hour, your brain is just like, stop talking, Sean.
Yeah. How about 555? And I have no idea why. Somebody that's superstitious could probably come up with some reason what that means, but
All
I'll
right.
pick 555 for whoever it is.
Next guest will have to answer 555 because Reagan wants to know
Yeah.
this question. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
been such a great, I enjoyed it. Please tell other OCs, hey, Sean doesn't bite. Uh,
Absolutely.
I hope you had fun, and
I did. This was
thank you
great.
so
I
much.
appreciate it. I'm
I hope we
honored
do
to.
it again, but I really need to get to know a couple of hundred more people first. But let's connect again, and
Absolutely.
tell me how people can get in touch with you.
Sure.
In an
My
email.
Instagram.
Go
Yep,
ahead.
or I'll email it to you. So, because I know you want to include it in the description, but Reagan
Go ahead.
Sonnabend, I'm pretty consistent across platforms. And yeah, I love to be accessible. And like I said, those open office hours for people who are in the community. I understand that this upcoming semesters is going to be open not only to sub two, but also to Gator and top tier. So, if you're interested in learning about midterm rentals, that's a great place to learn more, but always drop in on the office hours as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope everyone does. Thank you so much,
Thank
Reagan.
you.
Have a
All
wonderful
right.
day.
Best of luck. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, same.
Bye.
Bye.